In a future where resources are depleted, humanity creates perfect bodies through a transformation process, causing social divisions and internal struggles. In an era when Earth's resources had been completely depleted, leading humanity into a critical state of decline, the world's most renowned scientists united in a last-ditch effort to save the planet on the brink of extinction. They finally discovered a sustainable energy source, though the real threat remained human internal conflict. Inequalities among individuals intensified social divisions, isolating the privileged from the marginalized. As an extreme measure, it was instituted that upon reaching the age of 16, each person would undergo a treatment that made them physically flawless, eliminating the basis of envy and rivalry. Tally, not yet transformed and considered ugly, longed for her metamorphosis. She could choose everything, from the color of her eyes to the texture of her skin. One night, she ventured out to meet her friend Paris on a bridge, watching a celebration in the city of the transformed. From there, feeling a pang of envy towards those who had already been modified, Paris, who was 3 months older, would soon undergo the operation and move to the city of the beautiful. Tally feared that once transformed, Paris would forget her, although he assured her that she would always be important to him. The next day, at the official ceremony, Dr. Cable extolled the virtues of achieving perfect beauty as the youth bid farewell to their former identities. Paris said goodbye to Tally, and Shay, sitting next to Tally, noticed the melancholy of that farewell. That same night, in the solitude of her room, Tally relived how she had met Paris, revisiting the memories of a friendship that might soon be radically transformed. From their school days, he was known as Nose, and she as Crosset. In a defiant gesture against compulsory perfection, he injured his hand, and she deliberately cut her palm. This act bonded them beyond a shared scar, reinforcing their belief that they were the ideal complement to each other. The next day, as Tally explained in class about the white tiger orchid, a plant crucial both in the ornamentation of the fields and empowering the cities, her mind already wandered towards her imminent transformation. That night, during the POI change scan, she chose a golden hue for her eyes, longing for the moment to reunite with Paris, from whom she had lost contact. When the time for their meeting came, Tally stealthily approached the bridge, but Paris, now known as Nose, did not appear. Determined, she ventured into the City of Joy. On the outskirts, a mask fell from the sky right in front of her. Putting it on, her outfit instantly changed into an elegant dress, and she immersed herself among the lively streets filled with lights, music, and festivities to search for Paris. Against all odds, she found him, but he barely recognized her. Even his scar, which he had sworn to preserve, had disappeared, showing how the transformation profoundly altered identity, erasing promises of eternal friendships. When she removed the mask and revealed who she was, Tally became an unwanted intruder. In her escape, she grabbed a rescue vest. As she realized that capture was imminent, she jumped from the top of a skyscraper, and the vest held her, allowing her to return to the bridge. Pursued, she was about to be captured when Shay appeared on her hoverboard to rescue her. Both felt an instant connection. In refuge, Tally shared with Shay how to enter a locked kitchen and recounted her unfortunate encounter with Paris. One day, Tally felt let down by Shay, who not only challenged her to learn how to ride a hoverboard, but also passed her an underground book. As she dove into the reading, Tally inadvertently shared her adventure with the rescue vest with her friends, unexpectedly earning the title of heroine throughout the academy. Even though this could complicate her desire to undergo a transformative operation, she continued her classes and perfected her hoverboarding skills. In the midst of a discussion on aesthetics, Shay revealed that she did not want to alter her appearance. Later, she took Tally to a challenging course, where she demonstrated her impressive prowess. After finishing training, Tally returned the book, captivated by the vision of freedom it described, encompassing everything from the change of seasons to the dynamics of human relationships. Shay then proposed that they both forego the operation and escape together to the smoke, a place of free, unrestricted life. They set their plan in motion, abandoning their tracking devices on a branch and venturing into nature. They crossed a river and reached the ruins of an ancient city, where Shay mourned the destruction of a roller coaster. Later, from atop a building, Shay shared that outside, people live for themselves, form families, and age naturally, just as the book described. She confessed that she had planned to flee with her friend David until she rescued Tally on the bridge. Shay longed to read more books and enjoy various hobbies, aware that the operation would limit her ability to choose her own path in life. Tally, who had dreamed of beauty all her life, couldn't fully grasp these ideas. Shay left her with a cryptographic map to the smoke and departed with David, whose signal fire was seen on a nearby building. Tally, still puzzled and contemplative, returned alone to the city. The day designated for her transformation arrived, but against all odds, instead of proceeding with the operation, Tally was taken to see Dr. Cable. Surprisingly, the doctor was aware of Tally's connection with the elusive Shay. Dr. Cable argued that David was holding Shay against her will, negatively influencing her, and stipulated that Tally could only undergo the transformation if she managed to rescue Shay and bring her back to the city. Heartbroken, Tally returned to her room, where Paris visited her. He suggested that she follow Dr. Cable's instructions to reunite with him. Convinced, Tally agreed. Dr. Cable revealed that the inhabitants of the smoke intended to annihilate the city and had created a dangerous weapon that Tally had to deactivate. Equipped with a pendant that she was to activate upon finding the weapon, she followed Shay's clues to the ruins of the roller coaster and continued along an old railway track, where she set up camp in the forest. She lit a campfire and began to appreciate the natural beauty that surrounded her. She then faced the challenge of climbing a steep cliff and crossing the ruins on her hoverboard. Her journey ended in a vast field of white orchids, where she decided to spend the night. Meanwhile, Dr. Cable contacted Paris, offering him additional enhancements to his status. That night, as Tally slept among the orchids about to fade away, David appeared. He checked her condition and removed the trackers he found but overlooked the inactive pendant and took her with him. The explorer informs Dr. Cable that Tally is now in the desired position. As dawn breaks, David leads Tally toward the smoke community, where she reunites with Shay. However, other members of the community doubt that Tally managed to get there on her own. While Shay expresses her concern, Tally suggests the idea of returning, but Shay rejects it, encouraging her to dive deeper into their lifestyle. At the next dawn, Tally meets a group of young people preparing for a mission. She soon learns that they are responsible for several fires, justified by the toxicity of the local orchids that destroy soil nutrients and severely harm the planet. David invites her to join them and see the reality for herself. They fly over in a remodeled helicopter and witness the ecological damage caused by the orchids. In the act, Shay sets these plants on fire, and surprisingly, human figures appear walking unharmed through the flames. Suddenly, the helicopter is violently shaken, and Shay plummets into the void. Without thinking, Tally jumps after her and manages to rescue her just as a figure in a blue suit approaches. In that critical moment, they grab a rope thrown from the helicopter, managing to escape the danger. Later, still puzzled, they analyze the event. Tally feels responsible and confused. Her time with the residents of the smoke is transforming her perspective. Here, the community works together without using money, trading goods directly. The elders contribute valuably, not seen as a burden. Most significantly, everyone has chosen this life. They recycle old iron to create useful tools. When asked about weapons, Shay responds calmly, indicating the serenity of their life and the absence of adversaries that need to be confronted. As Tally immerses herself in the daily work of the community, she begins to enjoy the physical effort involved. Each night, the group gathers around bonfires, savoring fresh food, while David shares concerns about possible urban scouts nearby, a constant reminder that they are still targets of search. The philosophy of the smoke emphasizes managing the natural environment rather than controlling individuals, a stark contrast to the city, where aesthetics are prioritized and minds are subdued, hindering learning and personal autonomy. This contrast is precisely what makes the community cherish its freedom. One day, David teaches Tally how to use a bow, noting the calluses on her hands and offering her a pair of gloves as a gift. The calm is interrupted by the echo of flamethrowers and the appearance of scouts. These are not the typical idealized beautified people from the city, but agile and robust. Seeing the gloves, Shay explains to Tally that such details mean someone really values you, subtly suggesting that Tally reflect on her feelings toward David. When Tally questions David about the arsenal, he takes her to his parents. They, former plastic surgeons, reveal how they discovered that aesthetic surgeries altered the brain, inducing artificial happiness. After being expelled and their research confiscated when the intentional brain damage was revealed, they sought refuge in the community of the denters. There, They found medicine that allowed them to maintain mental clarity, and since then, they have been dedicated to finding a cure to reverse the brain damage caused by surgical interventions. One key element was still in the city. The serum was their main weapon, but it wasn't ready yet. They just needed to add a missing component and then test it on a volunteer with their explicit approval. That night, as Tally reflected on recent discoveries, she took off her pendant and threw it into the fire, not realizing that this would activate it. She explained the incident to David, who reassured her that she had done the right thing. He told her she was beautiful and kissed her tenderly. The following dawn, the city launched an assault. Men dressed in blue captured the inhabitants of the smoke with nets and gathered them in the central square. From a secluded corner, Tally and David watched the event. Cable interrogated David's parents and, receiving no answers, ordered Paris to execute David's father with a quick and lethal blow. Paris broke his neck. Consumed by grief, David ran to his father, and along with his mother, they sobbed over his body. Paris noticed Tally's presence but refrained from touching her, while Cable sarcastically thanked her for her collaboration, showing his disdain for her. Secretly, David's mother slipped a jar of medicine into her son's pocket. In a desperate act, Tally went to David's house and set it on fire, plunging everything into chaos. David managed to escape into the forest, and Tally, after neutralizing a pursuer with an arrow, also escaped. At the same time, the villagers set the rest of the settlement on fire and captured its inhabitants. Later, Tally gathered the courage to meet with David and confessed that she did not know the full extent of the truth and that the residents of the smoke had suffered the consequences of her actions. Determined to correct her mistake, Tally decided to accompany David back to the city. She led him to the school, where they met Shay's friends, and asked for their help. Inspired, the youths launched a revolt, painting "Smoke Forever" all over the city to distract and disperse the enemy forces. Amid the tumult, Tally and David managed to enter the laboratory, but they realized that the school's ring was not enough to access the needed level. David stole one from a guard, and together they freed the captives of the smoke, although Shay had already undergone the surgery. Urgently, Tally, David, and his mother chased after her but arrived too late. Shay had been transformed, showing happiness with her new appearance. At that moment, Paris and Dr. Cable burst into the laboratory, demanding that they make a final decision. The trio entered the transformation capsules, but just as the process started, a helicopter appeared, and an ally of David melted the laboratory's glass with a flamethrower. The system destabilized, and as David's mother retrieved the essential component for the medicine, they managed to escape. The group reached the roof, where Paris blocked their way. Tally tried to appeal to their past friendship, but he rejected her. David, reviving the memory of his father's death, confronted Paris. After an intense confrontation, Paris ended up hanging over a canal and, finally recognizing Tally, slipped and fell. David led Tally away from the scene, and later they all reunited in the ruins of the old city. David's mother presented the found component and pulled out the vial from her son's pocket. The serum was ready, however. Shay refused to be the test subject, enchanted by her new beauty. So Tally volunteered to undergo the procedure and become the new guinea pig. It was a considerable risk, but she trusted her resilience. Later, the transformed Tally looked over the city and, when asked by the system, asserted that she felt completely happy in her perfection. Although the narrative leaves questions, such as the true intentions of the city and the threat posed by the smoke, the dazzling visual effects captivate the audience, allowing them to immerse themselves in a visual spectacle that mitigates the story's inconsistencies.